May 9th, 1949, in the Bronx.
Is it William
William Martin Joel. William. Yeah.
And tell me about your musical background. At what age did you start taking an interest in music?
Well, as long as I remember, I was hearing music. My parents were both musical. My father was a classical pianist. He's real good. And my mother was, she used to sing with Gilbert and Sullivan touring companies, amateur musicians. But they were always playing. I heard classical music a lot.
Who do you think is there anyone in particular you think is a very strong influence on the growth of today's music? Producer, artist, writer?
Uh, Bob Dylan still is, I think, because of his lyrics. He's had an influence. I'm trying to think. There was a California movement for a long time. I don't know whether it came from Jackson Browne or Jackson Browne came out of it. There's Linda Ronstadt, the Eagles, um, were influenced. I lived in California and I was influenced by Jackson Browne. You can't live there and not be influenced by him. What is influencing things now? This Stevie Wonder's got to influence people a lot.
Did you like classical music as you grew up?
Yeah, it was music. I mean, I didn't really hear any other kind of music I, for a long time, I guess.
Did you have formal training in an instrument?
Yeah, yeah. When I was 4, they dragged me down the street to the lady who taught piano. I just started taking piano lessons when I was 4. Yeah. Songwriting. I really don't remember when I started writing. Um, I got in. I started listening to jazz records on my own. It was kind of like forbidden. I heard Dave Brubeck. This was still in the '50s, and I flipped out. I went, "Wow, this is phenomenal. What is this?" And I guess I started just fooling around on my own, not really writing songs, writing music first. I was going to be a great composer, and I don't know. I'd write musicals. Now I look back at them, they're really funny, but they weren't they weren't bad melodies. Some of them. I was crazy. Well, I was a real good student and real sharp up till I got into junior high school, and I became a greaser. Yeah. Well, I wasn't a greaser in the real '50s hoodlum greaser sense. I got in with the Diddy Bopper gang, which is like our older brothers and sisters were the real hoods. This is when the whole '50s era had kind of gone by. It's like the early '60s, and we were what we would call Diddy Boppers. We talked about fighting more than we had fights, and we wear the Matador boots and the jackets without the collar on it. We had greasy names for our gangs. We used to hang out at the Village Green. It was called the Parkway Green. So for a while, we were called the Emerald Lords. Hey, nah, we didn't get into it that heavy.
Tell me now, was Cold Spring Harbor the first thing you put on record?
No, I was with a band called the Hassles. Yeah, I met you when at the premiere of Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, I was talking about last week. Very nice of you.
Yeah, me and the drummer John Small came down and we talked on the mic. You were standing outside with the microphone doing like a premiere thing.
That must be one of my favorite albums. I had no idea you were that group. You
The
made a
Hassles.
connection. I discovered you with Cold Spring Harbor. I went crazy over YGY and Nocturne. But I had no idea. I can remember that. I could see the cover. It's an orange cover.
Yeah, it was pretty strange.
Well, that was one of my heavy groups, because I always got into that. The Hassles had come out of the same year as the Chocolate Watch Band, the Apple Dukes. That was 67.
The Fudge, right,
Yeah.
around the same time. I was just the organist. They had fired their organist and they asked me to join.
I don't know exactly. What label was that for?
That was UA,
Is
United
that
Artists.
I'm sure it's in the wall because I used to keep it in my own private bin. But
Mm.
then recently I figured, geez, I'm not going to play that. I put it back in the drawer. I hope it's still there because I want to play
I
some.
hope not. I can't listen to it. I don't.
Why not?
It was fun at the time, you know. It was. I don't know. It wasn't very substantial musically to me. Now it was a lot of fun.
It was for its era.
It was.
It was not taking everything from that era and judging it. It was not. It was, I'd say, among the better stuff in that.
Well,
It was
there
more
was good
imaginative
stuff.
than most.
There was good stuff out there, but I mean, we didn't. The Hassles didn't make good records. I thought the Rascals made great records. You know.
Yeah, but I think that one album that I remember I liked very much. Um, Something else I was going to ask. The word Grease was sensational. Oh no,
Yeah.
you don't need it.
No, I try not to use it.
Um, it was a long time ago between the Hassles and Cold Spring Harbor.
Well, after the Hassles, there was a band called Attila.
Again,
Attila, like
Attila,
Attila.
Attila the Hun.
Yeah, Attila.
Attila the Hun.
No, it was just called Attila. It was a two-man group. Me and the drummer split from the Hassles and formed a two-man group. This was on Epic, and we were going to destroy the world with amplification. And I had 10 amplifiers hooked up to the Hammond organ. And this is about the time Lee Michaels had a hit with "Hey Hey Hidey Hi," that song. We went to see him, and he had it.
Hey,
Right,
hey.
that's it. He had a two-man group, and me and John looked at each other and went, "Well, that's the end of that." So after that, I just took odd jobs. I was a rock critic. Hey,
What?
there were a couple of underground magazines in New York. Changes magazine, Go magazine. That was 25 bucks a story. So I said, hey, you know, great, yeah, gotta eat. And I was working in top 40 bands, group called El Primo, and just taking money wherever, making money wherever I could. In the meantime, I was just writing songs, and this was like 1970, 70, 71. And at that point, I just wanted to be a songwriter. I kind of got out of the wanting to be a rock and roll star. And I had all these songs, and I went around to people I knew in the music business. So, what's the best way for people to hear my material? And because I'd known people in the record business before, they said, "Why don't you make a record? Because that's the best way for people to get familiar with your songs." So I signed a deal to make a record, and then
Was that the one with Pam?
that was the one with Family. Originally, I signed with Just Sunshine,
With who?
Just
Just
Sunshine,
Sunshine.
which was Michael Lang's label,
Yeah.
and then it got transferred out to the coast onto Family Records, and that took about a year to make. It should have only taken about a month, but it took about a year. I like the songs. I don't really like the record. The production on it is. They speeded up the record.
Yes, your voice used to have an amplifier.
Yeah.
I know that.
It's
But
it's like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
yeah, but it had a certain appeal on that particular song, the Why Judy Why,
Yeah.
because it had the most unusual chord changes in it, and the nocturne was.
I forgot how to play that.
He had a lot of hours for me with that.
All right.
Go up to the news, and then you did something really schmaltzy.
Yeah, I remember hearing it. That's right.
Played it, played it. It was one of my favorites. Had a kid last week before we asked
For Nocturne, we might re-record some of those songs.
And Why Judy Why was a great tune. Okay, now, after Cold Spring Harbor, you disappeared on me again. What happened?
Well, that was the record sort of came out. It really didn't get distributed at all. And the advice I got after I made the record was, if you want people to hear your record, you go out on the road and tour and promote your record. So I went on the road, and one thing followed another, and it became Billy Joel, uh, the singer-songwriter, which was kind of ironic because I got into it to be just a songwriter. And I realized after a while I was in a real lousy deal. I wasn't making any money. I was on the road for 6 months. Nobody got paid. It was just a really strange deal. And I went, wait a minute, this is crazy. I got to get out of this deal. And I disappeared. I was living in Oyster Bay at the time. No, I'm sorry. I was living in the Hamptons. And I realized the only way I'm going to get out of this contract is to sit these guys out. So I got a new manager, and I got a lawyer, which is always a good thing to have a lawyer. And I went to Los Angeles to try to renegotiate my deal, but I didn't let the old record company know where I was. They thought I disappeared off the face of the earth. I changed my name. I called myself Bill Martin, and I got a job to make a living I got a job in a piano bar in the Wilshire district of Los Angeles, in this place called the Executive Lounge. Hey. You know where it is?
Seen it.
Wilshire and Western. I figured I'd walk in once and they'd have a plaque, but no, but no. And I hid out for about a year and a half, trying to renegotiate a different deal. We were going to go with Atlantic originally, but Clive Davis got involved, and Clive, he can really charm you, And I signed with Columbia.
That's hard.
No, not at all. No. It's good company. Yeah, to an extent. It really didn't happen all at once. The album came out like towards the end of '73, and then they put the single out, Piano Man, and I thought they were crazy. I said, that's not a hit single. You're nuts. And they had to work it. It took about 6 months for that record to start getting played, and then it kind of went crazy, being a hit.
I don't even, I'm not even aware of that. I don't even know where the single because, when the album came out, we started plugging in, and that was the song. Because you get mine the festival every night.
Yeah.
Because you get that kind of feedback on any song that you get. How did it change your life?
People started to go to shows to see me and hear what I was doing. Up to that point, we'd been opening up for the Jay Giles Band and opening up for the Beach Boys and for the Doobie Brothers and doing the soup and salad bit, being the appetizer, which ain't bad. I mean, it's an opportunity to learn how to be a good performer. If you got to open up for the Beach Boys, you gotta do something, or else people don't want to see you. I guess that's when we started headlining.
And what do you like to write?
I like it because I like all the people I work with, and it's something you have control over. I mean, after touring for a certain amount of time, you get real good at it. And we've developed a live show to the point where I don't know, it's better than some of the records, I think.
How many people do you take?
Now we're at the point where it's between 25 and 30 people. Yeah, same guys have been with me for a while. I know I'm not crazy about flying, but if it's a long distance, it's better to fly. I like to play. That's what it comes down to. I think. I mean, we work 5 nights a week. Actually, we work 5 days and nights because you go in and do a sound check and do that. We're real protective about our live show because it's something we've had control of ourselves without record companies or managers or da da da. It's totally a music and production thing. I like to play. Yeah, that's what it comes to. It gets wearing, sure, but after a couple of weeks, you want to go home. But after you're home for a couple of weeks, you want to go out again. It's always the last thing I did, but that's because it's like it's my new baby. You always like the newest kid the best. I noticed that. This one is a cutie pie. I'm sure I'll like the next album I do better than the last one I did. As a matter of fact, the songs that I'm writing now I like better than anything I've written. Probably just because they're new. You know.
When you first started headlining, what kind of places did you play? Was it Avery Fisher, Chronic, immediately?
No, and it depended on where it was. Where the record was more well known, we would headline a concert hall. Philadelphia, we would do the Academy of Music. New York, I think we played in New York. Yeah, that's right. We did Avery Fisher. That's right after Piano Man was a hit. And certain cities we would do concert halls, but a lot of times we did clubs in a lot of places in the country.
Where did you? Was there any specific place where the reaction was really the best?
Philadelphia, more so than any other place. We had done a radio concert, which a radio station in Philadelphia had taped, and this was long before Piano Man, and we did Captain Jack when it was a brand new song, and they would keep playing the tape every now and then, and people would call up and request this radio station to play Captain Jack, and it became kind of an underground FM hit, and it became the most requested song in that station's history. And so when the album came out, where people could finally get buy that song on a record, that record just really took off in Philadelphia right off the bat.
Title of the record?
MMR.
All station.
Yeah.
Now, what? what happened after Piano Man? It was a long time between Piano Man and the next one.
It was about 9 months. No, well, actually, it was about a year. As far as most people knew, Piano Man was happening in the spring of '74, but it came out at the end of '73.
Yes, yeah, it was a long time for us because we played it from the very beginning and everybody else didn't get onto it.
Right.
So then it was a year. Now, you're touring that year?
Yeah, we were touring most of the time. Well,
Do you do a lot of, when you're out on the road, do you do a lot of promotion, a lot of interviews, that kind of thing? Do you want to do it then?
I haven't done it in a while. After Piano Man came out, I did. As a matter of fact, once I ended up in one of these in-store autograph signing things where I really felt like a jerk. Like they had this Santa Claus chair set up where I was supposed to sit and hand out my signature. And I felt like Donny Osmond. I really didn't like that at all. I said, no, no more of this. Boop, bye. In interviews I do, just on at the spur of the moment, like if you're playing at some obscure college and some kid wants to do an interview and you know, and he's real hungry, you know, and you go, hey, all right, come on. I tend to go that way unless somebody sets it up in the office for me to do an interview. I mean, I don't really know. Unless, if somebody walks out to me on the street, hey, you want to do an interview? I said, sure. I don't care. But you can't do too many of them on the road because it's just there's too many people want to talk to you. Yeah. Then you do every night the same answers and the same questions, and you lose it.
It's terribly repetitive and it can't be spontaneous anymore.
Try to be.
Yeah, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
How difficult is it for you to get an album together with new songs? Now you've got the live album out now. You must be working on the next studio album, right?
Well, it isn't really a live album. It was just a sampler to see what kind of reaction we would get to a real live album.
Oh,
The souvenir album is that one side of it is live,
yeah, right,
and one side of it is old songs.
right, yeah.
And we wanted to see just what kind of reaction we would get if we were going to actually ever make a full live album.
Interesting. Why? Why did, I mean, do you feel that a live album may not be for you, or is that just your way of doing
Well,
things?
we weren't going to put one out now. We figured after the next album comes out, we'd put out a live album. But we wanted to see just how, you know, if people were interested in having a live album, if radio stations wanted to play it.
What's your
Um,
opinion in general about live albums as opposed to studio work?
some are great. I mean, my favorite live album is the Mad Dogs and Englishmen album, Joe Cocker.
Absolutely. Some live albums. Nothing will ever touch that. The one that comes close is the current One's Over Country. That's the studio album.
That's a good album too.
Listen to it, but I hate most live albums because the sound is never as good. There's so much noise. It blasts you off the record. There's clams in the orchestra.
Right.
You know, you get the same stuff in the studio versions. It's just so beautiful.
Well, they have it to the point technically now where you can make a really good live album.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of records that were live. I remember for years ago, who was it? Arlo Guthrie, Alice's Restaurant. The audience response in that record made that record.
That's the unusual one.
Well, when we do a live show, we there's a lot of that going on, a lot of craziness going on. I don't want to just put out a stock live album.
No, then you would probably have to do it in a place like the Rock Line where you would get that close response and it could be a bit more.
Well, I think we're going to record in a couple of different places. The souvenir album, this is the live album now. It just was done when we did a videotaping, and the audio quality is it could be better, but we had a 16-track audio tape. We figured why not? Let's see what happens. A lot of people think it's a live album out, but it's not. There's only 1,000 copies that were pressed.
Well, that would be. It's like Tom Waits always does live albums. He loves to, and for him it's great because that feedback. Yeah, I'd like to hear that kind of a live album of the rapport between you and the audience.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to just put out live,
Yeah, right.
and then you just hear yeah, and they turn it down. I like to fool around and get some of that. You know, like Lenny Bruce's albums. I love listening to those things. The audience reaction is incredible.
Well, that's the whole advantage of doing a live album. A lot of people miss that. All it is the same songs that you hear on the studio album but with noise.
Right,
And not as good.
right. So I'd definitely rather make a studio album than that. But for us to do a live show, there's a lot more going on than people hear on record. And I don't know if some of it will be playable, but it's part of the show. I think people should get that on a record, definitely. As a matter of fact, on the New York State of Mind and the Souvenir album, there's a word that everybody put a star next to. So watch this word on the monologue.
So now you're working on a studio album?
I'm in the middle of writing it right now. The Turnstiles album came out in summer of '76, so it's a year now. And I've been on the road. We were in Australia. We were on a tour here. Just about another 9 months. Well, actually, we've been on the road a year since the Turnstiles album came out. A year.
The State of Mind is even bigger than Minneapolis. More people cover it. As far as
Yeah,
the song.
I think after a certain amount of time, it will be a bigger song.
You said something the other day with records.
Barbara Streisand did it.
That's a new album.
Yeah, Superman.
Before she doesn't perform.
Right. That knocked me out. Because this goes back to my whole thing about being a songwriter. That Barbara Streisand did one of my songs. Ronnie Spector did one of my songs. Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Yeah. So now I'm getting covered by people. You know? Yeah, that's the big kick for me. Somebody else doing my stuff. It's about the same thing. I get more of a kick out of hearing somebody else's version of a song on the radio than my own. Can't explain it. I still get a kick out of hearing myself on the radio. All right, and I turn it up and I call everybody up. Hey, I'm on the radio. But you hear somebody else doing your song. It's like, wow, somebody else did my song. Me, jerk from Hicksville. You know.
You haven't changed at all, obviously, since it is a good time. Why is it you haven't and so many other people have? So many people who struggle along and then all of a sudden hit become insufferable. How did you handle it so well?
Well, I'm still not what you would call a megastar or even a superstar. I guess I'm a star, you know. But to me, I take it with a grain of salt, because when Piano Man was a hit, I didn't become a big, super huge star and follow it up and have a lot of hits after that. I opened up for the Beach Boys. I opened up for a lot of different people. I saw a lot of crazy attitudes that people had, and I said, I don't want to ever be like that. And being on the road for a long time makes you humble. You know, you feel like you're working. You never really we don't stay in ritzy hotels. We stay in Holiday Inns. We don't use limousines. Um, we just don't have an attitude like that. When we're performing, we take our work very seriously. But the star thing, I take with a grain of salt. It just,
Is it your background? I mean, the way you grew up? That keeps you retaining the balance? What is it?
it could be. I think it's kind of a New York attitude in general. I like to think that it is. Like New York people have a reputation for being wise guys, and it gets misinterpreted as being snotty. It does in California. It
Oh, I'm
does.
sure it does, but it's not. It's just being cool. You know, it's just that you grow up in the midst of everything, so nothing.
You stay sarcastic about
I
everything.
grew up in show business.
Well, I see a lot of people who are stars, and that's all they are. There's no substance to it. They're stars, and there's kind of an unspoken, unwritten law in the music business that you'll have a 3-year career as a rock and roll star, and if you're really big, maybe a 5-year career. Now, I didn't graduate high school, so if I wash out after 3 years, I can't go back to daddy's business or something, and I have to do this. This is what I am. I'm a musician. I'm a performer. I want to do this for my life. And to be a big star and to last for 3 years isn't a goal for me.
You ever worried about not being able to do it? Are you concerned about it?
No, I always think I'll be able to do something musical, whether it's writing or I even wrote a song, whether it's even playing in a piano bar. I don't care. I love to play. And I get a kick out of it. And it's not the money, believe it or not. Oh, it's not the money.
What
Yes.
would be the ultimate of realization of your fantasy dreams about yourself, about your career?
I don't think I'll ever reach it. I just want to be really great at what it is I do. And I think right now, I think I'm a baby at what I'm doing, really. I'm 28 years old, which might not be young for a rock and roller, but in terms of a musical career to me, that's a baby. I think I like to think when I'm 60, I'll be tossing off songs like Picasso tossed off paintings. Not that I want to compare myself to Picasso, but it's my it's life.
Still sitting there, that keyboard.
Yeah,
Now do Basie.
sure.
Basie's still jumping it out.
I admire people like that. I think Paul McCartney will have a very long career. He'll become very important. I admire people like Frank Sinatra. Not because of the Vegas part of it, because he's lasted. I mean, that guy went through the pits and he survived. He did it his way.
What's the most important thing that's ever happened to you thus far in your life?
I was born. I don't know.
Nothing else exceeded that.
The most important thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I don't know. That's hard to answer.
And then obviously there's so many of them. There's one that sticks out. What do you think of music in general today? Do you follow the rest of the music scene? Are you into it?
I don't follow it as closely as some people. I'm just kind of a casual listener, like a lot of people are, I think. And I hear things now and then. I listen to all kinds of music too. I listen to classical and jazz and rhythm and blues. It's like it always was to me. There's new recording techniques. Records sound better to me. Technically, they sound better. But there's a certain amount of junk and there's a certain amount of good stuff. I think, just like there always was. And I like the things that are good. I love Stevie Wonder. Um, I love McCartney. I love Paul Simon. Bruce Springsteen, I think, is great. James Taylor, Zeppelin, I like. Um, and then there's people in that same genre who are on the other end of the spectrum. I think there's a lot of junk. No, I don't feel like I'm in competition, really. I'm sure the record company must look at it. Okay, male singer songwriter, what's he like? And sometimes you'll see reviews where they compare you to somebody. That's the only time it really bothers me. But I've never turned it into feeling competitive towards anybody. I admire a lot of solo artists. I think they're all different. Everybody has similarities to an extent, but if everybody's a different person. I mean, like the song Piano Man, a lot of people to this day still think was done by Harry Chapin. And I can even see that myself. It's a story song. Well, I went into the bar and but it's it, it's everything I write isn't like that song. That's the only song I ever wrote like that. They're different. I like to be eclectic. I admire David Bowie a lot for that. You think you got him pegged, and the next minute, wham, he hits you with this whole other thing. I love it.
Overview of conversation 100 years from today, and people were talking about music in the 70s, and then your name came up. What would you like someone to say about Billy Joel?
I like somebody say about Billy Joel. He was representative of his time. His music represented a time.
And when did he write the next album? So, just for instance,
The next, yeah, well. Actually, we started recording it. I go in tomorrow and do some more on it. No, I hope to have it out by this fall. They want it out in September, but I don't think that's realistic. I figure maybe October. Hopefully, we're working with Phil Ramone. He's real good.
Producer?
Yeah,
Oh.
he's great. Hopefully, I'll have it out.
Do you have any piece of advice for young people who might want to follow your path? Who want to be in the same show business? Anything that you found out that you think is a focal point or a key?
There's so many moves to make. I can't think of one key move. It's always good to have a lawyer when you're getting involved in contracts. A good lawyer, yeah. Somebody who's going to watch it, because I signed a lot of papers when I.
And this is like a conceptual question. Then what we have to talk about. She really about punk rock?
The new punk rock I don't know about. I mean, I remember punk rock being punk rock a long time ago. The Rascals were called punk rock, and then there were a couple of English groups in the late '60s, which was called punk rock. When I first came out, I was called a punk, and I mean now there's this whole label called punk rock. It's not new to me.
Do you think that jazz will ever become more of an acceptable contemporary form of music, like in the City FM people, like Dick Bill Joe? Will they ever be able to accept jazz too?
To an extent, I don't think it's going to ever become a super commercial entity. It was always kind of underground, and even the jazz era, the golden age of jazz, they didn't really sell that many records in that time either. And it was a pop form of jazz. Paul Whiteman and George Gershwin, you know, they weren't underground jazz. Um, I don't know. Jazz is weird, weirdo music. I love jazz. I love playing jazz, but it's solely for your own satisfaction. That's what I find it whenever I play jazz. I don't care if it's making any sense to anybody. It's a musician's thrill. It's a great drug, you know.
Have you ever had any really frightening or funny experiences at a concert? Something in relationship to an audience or something happening in auditorium when you were here?
I've had some run-ins with security people. A lot of concerts, security people tend to overreact. You go to a lot of shows and you'll see this huge barricade between the audience and the stage, and there's all these cops standing in front with clubs and stuff and barbed wire electrified so people can't get to the stage. And um, security people tend to overreact a lot, and sometimes I see somebody pushing around somebody in the audience, which scares me. I don't like that. I'll stop a song in the middle. I'm gonna go, "Hey, get out of here! Hey, you, come here!" You know. Um, that happens a lot at my shows. Me and security people don't get along too good.
Have you ever played a concert where there was a lot of firecrackers in the audience? And if so, how does that affect you?
Yeah, we opened up for the Beach Boys someplace, and there were just all kinds of people throwing fire. I just left. I said bye because I thought it was stupid. I mean, people were getting hurt in the audience. Plus, they were throwing them on stage, and I wasn't getting paid to get hit by firecrackers.
Is there anything that you can think of that performers can do to put a stop to that?
Stop playing. Don't play. I think is if you play and you're there, your presence encourages it. I think if it's not a lot of people, it's usually a few jerks who are throwing fireworks, and the audience. Say, I trust people in the audience. I don't look at them as this mindless mob. I think they know how to police themselves pretty good. And if there's some jerk who keeps throwing fireworks, and the group leaves the stage, if I was sitting in the audience and I saw some jerk throwing firecrackers and somebody left the stage, I'd turn around and I'd go, "Hey, mother, I'm gonna kick your head in. Give me those firecrackers." I'd take care of them myself. I don't know. But on the other hand, that might cause even a crazier scene. People might get really crazed in the audience. Oh, he left the stage. This is what I would do. I would leave as soon as they started throwing fireworks. So I don't need this. This is insane.